gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull and...
Even though my group couldn't hold back and already agreed to check it out, they've been asking nonstop for 2 months. It's finally time to dive in. When it comes to this high-end versus low-end lamp, what exactly is the OnePlus 15? Is it a fresh piece of art? Something that tries too hard but doesn't quite land? Or maybe a quiet masterpiece that stands the test of time? Let's find out. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. Today, we're keeping things simple and focusing mainly on gaming performance and heat management. No camera talk for now. And of course, I'll be using my favorite benchmark device, the OnePlus 15 itself. Let's see what it's really made of. At first glance, the OnePlus 15 gives off an undeniably premium vibe, maybe even a bit too elegant, but it's beautifully executed. Nothing else in this price range really looks or feels like it. OnePlus has completely skipped the industry habit of cramming in unnecessary design flourishes or chasing flashy gimmicks. Instead, it focuses purely on essential lines and minimalism. The result is something bold yet refined, almost unconventional in its simplicity. And that's exactly what makes this design stand out. The smooth integration of the nanomaterial body, which looks part ceramic and part timeless metal, is seamless. Using it feels like stepping out of a noisy shopping mall and into a calm, minimalist art gallery. Everything just feels soft, balanced, and quietly elegant. Whether you'd call it retro-futuristic or not doesn't really matter. The real magic is how naturally it fits into any environment without screaming for attention. It's an evolution of OnePlus's signature design language, clean and mature. Personally, I just wish the main camera's angled bezel flowed a bit better with the rest of the body. But overall, what do you think of this design direction? How would you rate it? Let me know in the comments below. Now about that battery, OnePlus upgraded the 15 with a 7300 mAh cell, yet the phone remains slimmer and lighter than the iQOO 15, which carries a 7000 mAh one. It's about 2 millimeters shorter and under 10 grams lighter, but in hand, it actually feels much more compact. The highlight of the in-hand experience is definitely the main camera module, since it's not oversized, it doesn't throw off the phone's balance, and its placement near the corner means it never gets in your way, whether you're holding it horizontally or switching hands while gaming. It just feels well thought out. Then there's the new quick access button. One tap and you can trigger a voice command or launch the AI note transcription feature, which automatically summarizes long or complex content for later reading. You can even remap shortcuts for things like sound mode, the camera, recording, or translation. It's quite handy. That said, the current customization system could still improve. Right now, it's limited to one category at a time. For example, if I want both the sound mode toggle and the camera shortcut, I can only assign one. But if future updates let us set different actions for long press, short press, or double tap, it'd be much smoother and more versatile. The haptics are surprisingly strong. Honestly, you wouldn't expect that kind of vibration feedback from such a clean, minimalist phone that's not even gaming focused. Compared to the iQOO 15, it really holds its own. Sound-wise, the OnePlus 15 has a distinct tone. The speaker output feels tight, clear, and close. There's warmth without harshness. It's very different from the war drum, punchy sound of iQOO, but in many ways, it's even smoother and easier on the ears. Moving on to the screen, the anti-reflection performance is impressive, with deep blacks and excellent control over glare. If you remove the AR film, the front camera's light sensitivity becomes more noticeable, but that's an easy fix. Just use an anti-reflective screen protector. The screen's ultra-narrow black borders still look great and are quite rare in this category. As for resolution, yes, it's technically downgraded from 2K to 1.5K, but honestly, you can't really tell with the naked eye on a display this size. You'll notice refresh rate differences far more easily. Take Crossfire, for instance. Running both phones side by side at max settings and consistent 120 Hz refresh rate, the performance feels neck and neck. Still, the OnePlus fires slightly faster by about 4 to 5 milliseconds. That might sound tiny, but it's a system-wide difference that adds up over time. When you jump from 120 Hz to 165 Hz, though, the difference becomes obvious. The frame continuity, response, and firing smoothness feel drastically improved. Even at 144 Hz, latency drops noticeably, roughly by 10 to 12 milliseconds compared to 165 Hz. So yes, the speed advantage is real, but unless you're a pro gamer, it probably won't change your performance much. Still, once you play at 165 Hz, anything lower feels laggy almost instantly. The gyroscope feels a bit more stable than average, though I wish the game mode had more customization options. Hopefully, future updates add that flexibility for players who like fine-tuning. It ranges from 0.5 to 10 nits, with exceptional results in full DC mode. Unlike iQOO, which starts from around 2.5 nits, OnePlus manages even lower, offering near-per brightness control. In raw brightness power, though, iQOO wins. Its manual brightness hits around on 1100 nits, automatic peak 700, and HDR spike insane 5710 nits. Hard to beat that. The OnePlus 15, on the other hand, caps at about 830, peaks at 1910, reaches 3500 in HDR. That's still solid and very much within flagship range. What's more impressive, OnePlus's visual comfort at ultra-low brightness. At just 1 nit, colors remain accurate and natural. Deviation stays below 1, meaning color accuracy is nearly flawless. Standard mode with warm tones for CIE 1931 accuracy, or switch to natural mode for CIE 20 calibration. iQOO's colors are decent too. Deviation sits around 1, still respectable, just not quite as precise as OnePlus. When it comes to touch response, both fully deliver. Whether you're swiping around the system interface or gaming hard, the touch samplings are rock solid, almost perfectly consistent. OnePlus 15 out at 320 Hz, iQOO goes slightly higher, 360 Hz. But honestly, in real-world use, that small difference barely. Interestingly, OnePlus seems to have done some specific tuning for better during gameplay. In standard touch tests, its median refresh rate sits around 329 Hz, but when you jump into games, it drops slightly to 299 Hz. The benefit? Variability decreases 0.5% down to just 0.19%, roughly a 20% improvement in stability. As for click latency, phones end up at about the same level. They just take different paths to get there. Full settings and 120 Hz for comparison, iQOO had a strange hiccup. It couldn't draw directional lines using a stylus, whether active or passive, but everything worked fine using a finger. I don't think one's better than the other in this area. They both equally responsive. Now, let's move on to performance. Starting with benchmarks, OnePlus scored an impressive 4.15 million on Antutu, right where you'd expect it to be. The iQOO, on the other hand, couldn't break the 4 million mark, though that's not surprising since scores usually run a bit lower. In RAR compression and decompression tests, OnePlus actually exceeded expectation. Without being listed as a performance priority app, it managed to maintain reliable power scheduling. iQOO's balanced mode, by contrast, felt conservative, especially in video transcoding and file compression. While OnePlus wasn't aggressively burning power either, it only avoided the kind of slowdown that made iQOO nearly twice as slow in some cases. iQOO's tendency to favor power saving in day-to-day use. Then came the 3D Mark test at 25 degree Celsius, and wow, I didn't expect OnePlus to hold up this well. It ran like a beast, maintaining consistent high output right from the start. Even with an average power draw of 10.16 watts, there were no dips throughout the test. It stopped after 18 minutes internal limitations, but that was still plenty to handle demanding workloads. It's almost ironic a sleek, elegant phone can unleash this much raw performance. One thing worth noting is the hinge temperature difference. The gap between the rear and metal frame is noticeably wider than most phones. That's a clear internal thermal isolation, meaning OnePlus can sustain high performance without heavily relying on the outer body for cooling. The real secret weapon here is the dual-cell battery design. It offers temperature advantage proportional to its power draw. You might not notice dual use, but in gaming, especially under high stress, it's a huge plus. During titles like Rumble, the OnePlus ran 4.6 degrees Celsius cooler than Xiaomi's 7-watt model, 3 degrees Celsius cooler than iQOO's 9.1 watt configuration. Speaking of iQOO though, it's still a powerhouse. It starts around 17.6 watts and stabilizes near 13 watts after 9 minutes. Seriously, for a moment, it almost felt like the legendary iQOO 15 was back in full force. But after that 9-minute mark, the illusion fades. The system throttles hard, and the output collapses due to thermal saturation. It's a clear case of saving power just saving power. The cooling system becomes overly cautious, dialing down performance even when it's not needed. Both phones in their own ways take advanced dynamic management, but personally, I'd rather see them balance efficiency and performance instead of constantly chasing one extreme. Now let's switch to gaming, starting with King of Glory. Regardless of who you pick, both OnePlus and iQOO perform brilliantly. But here's the twist. Despite iQOO's gaming phone reputation and its 10-cent optimization, it surprisingly doesn't feel than OnePlus. Under normal conditions, when temperature and power are factored in, iQOO starts to show tiny fluctuations in vibration frequency. You can enable iQOO's exclusive 144 FPS mode playing field, but after about 30 minutes, frame rates start dropping back 120 FPS, even though average power use is just 4.3 watts. So unless you're constantly in a low-pressure environment, you'll notice those dips. On the other hand, OnePlus remains remarkably steady. The vibration feedback doesn't fluctuate, though yes, it does consume power. If they could trim that by about 0.3 watts while keeping performance intact, it'd be practically perfect. Genshin Impact, tested at 30 degrees Celsius with max graphics, the difference even further. Performance is nearly identical, but OnePlus still edges ahead slightly. It uses about 1% less power. Phones maintain near full frame rates here, performing extremely well. Then there's Honkai's Star Rail. At first, both seem evenly matched, but by the second half of testing, iQOO starts losing ground. The frame rate dips a golden hour map, where it averages around 45 FPS, noticeable stutters. OnePlus stays closer to 50 FPS, and the difference in smoothness is clear. Thermally, both have similar hot zones, but OnePlus's metal body still runs about 1 degree Celsius cooler. Inside, its GPU is 0.1 degree Celsius cooler, and the battery runs 2.6 cooler, an even bigger gap than before. Once again, the dual-cell design proves its worth, especially under sustained load. Charging is another strong area for OnePlus. Packing a massive 7300 mAh battery, the dual-cell setup and 100-watt fast charging make it incredibly quick. Starting from 1%, it reaches 17% in 5 minutes, 89% in 30 minutes, full charge in 39 minutes. In total, it takes around 50 minutes for a complete top-up. Seriously fast for this capacity. Meanwhile, iQOO's 100-watt charging feels a bit less consistent. Even though it shares the same 120-watt Iris charging system and active cooling, its average charging power is only about 36.4 watts, compared to OnePlus's 44.2 watts. So while the smaller quicker, the OnePlus 15 still wins overall. Do note, though, that the OnePlus has a built-in ultra power-saving mode that kicks in at 100% and can't be turned off. This mode effectively adds extra 500 mAh buffer, meaning the actual usable capacity ranges from around 6,400 mAh to 6,800 mAh when fully charged. If you somehow bypass that mode entirely, a full 0 to 100% charge would take roughly 5 minutes, making it even more efficient than it looks. So, when you look at the big picture, even though OnePlus is across the board, this generation feels like the most authentic OnePlus we've seen in years. From its clean design and tactile to its refined yet assertive user experience, it finally feels like OnePlus. Unique, powerful, and true to its roots. This is classic OnePlus. And the best part? The 2GB RAM and 256GB storage model costs just 3,099 yuan in China, around 428 pounds in the UK, and 478 euros in Germany. So, what do you think of OnePlus's performance this time? Did it live up to your expectations? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. I'm Big Hand Bro, and I'll...